Hello, my name is Wendy Love Edge, and I'd like to welcome you to the Bulldozer Health Show. In this episode, I'll be interviewing Antoinette Cruz, the British Columbia representative of the National Indigenous Medical Cannabis Association. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So, Antoinette, could you tell me a little bit about hemp? What actually is hemp?
Well, hemp is similar to cannabis. It looks a lot similar, but the benefits are very different actually.
Okay.
So cannabis is more used for the medicinal, and a lot of people are saying the recreational benefits of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, we kind of view that that whole area as medicinal, because people that are using cannabis, sometimes they don't have a prescription, but they are using it to relieve some sort of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Or anyway. So hemp, we're looking at more of an industrial plant and also a nutritional plant you can use to be eating. We can use every different part of this plant to benefit our economy, and also as a sustainable resource to support not only Indigenous economy, but the economy as one to get as a whole.
Right.
So the CBD has different medicinal effects. It depends what kind of hemp you're growing. If you're growing industrial hemp, the CBD is rather low as well. So a lot of people like to grow industrial hemp with a really low CBD. It's less stressful, I guess, for people to apply for those kind of licenses. Okay. And for CBD, the Health Canada and the government of Canada, they're constantly asking you to test your levels anyways. So if you are growing these plants, then they want you to be able to test those levels. And as you know, cannabis is still very illegal. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of friction around this, and a lot of friction around people growing it, because the plants look so similar and the stigma is so high. Right. About that a lot of people are afraid to engage in the industry, which is really frightening, because it's something that at this point in time, and the climate change and with all the crisis that we're facing, crisis in housing, water crisis, there's so many issues that can be relieved, and so many solutions that could be brought up just using hemp alone.
Using hemp. And so in Canada, the cannabis is still illegal, but growing hemp is not, right? Is that what you were referring to?
Well, yeah, and what we're doing actually is we're working more with people on reserve than we are in cities. So we're educating people that are living in Indigenous communities that actually go by Indigenous law and not by provincial law.
So hemp, with regard to sustainability and the environment, is a better choice. And how does it improve the environment and sustainability? You know, I know that there are many uses for it. You know, people I see all over the internet, hemp will save the world if we let it, right?
I find that one of the things that is not talked about enough, that we can use it to clean up a lot of the oil spills and a lot of leakages and toxic fuel spills that are happening right now. I would love to get this in the hands of some of the frontline warriors that are out there, so that we can get them bringing these products and giving them access to these products will essentially help these disasters that are happening surrounding the pipelines and different things that they're putting in forcibly, so that we can even start nursing those problems and those issues that are so urgently needing to be dealt with. Like these are things that are poisoning people's water. These are things that they're detrimental to people's health. People are getting cancer. They're getting all different kinds of diseases.
So you're involved with this Indigenous organization. You're a representative from British Columbia. Would you say that Indigenous people seem to be more open to making this shift to hemp from other products that are hurting the environment?
Wow. I'm not sure, because when we had the residential schools come in, there was a lot of religion pushed on our people, which means that there is quite a large stigma still within the elder community and also within our youth community, because we want to keep the youth safe. So we want to make sure that the youth understand the difference between the benefits and also the consequences of using cannabis, and versus the sustainable, versatile benefits of hemp, and how amazing it is for the youth to be able to create hemp bricks and to be able to participate in workshops and hands-on things, even as farming, agricultural work, different things like that that could be provided to our communities through hemp.
Right. It's great that you're really kind of a warrior for change with your people, and that's an example really to the world, to all of us. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And you were talking about bricks. I was reading about using hemp for building materials.
The bricks are earthquake proof, they are pest proof, and they are fire proof, which is something people don't talk about. And that it's amazing because a lot of people have had their houses burned down on in indigenous communities, and they're looking for solutions to these problems to rebuild the homes. And solutions like, I have something I can show you here. One of these houses on here is a Japanese house. If you look these houses up, these are all hemp houses.
Wow.
So if you look up hemp houses on Google, you can find there's I believe a 2,000-year-old house in Japan that they, every 5 years or so, they pressure wash it, and it looks like brand new. And the house hasn't broken down. They don't have any rodents problems, and it's beautiful. And they've upgraded the bathrooms, of course, and things like that over the years. But it's a gorgeous house, and it's really something that I would encourage people to look up and Google, and people will be amazed what they can find. You know, I encourage people to be trying to plant seeds as far as they can. I know Dana Larson here in Canada, he does Overgrow Canada, I think it is, or Overgrow the country. And they're going around giving out CBD and hemp seeds all over the country to people just to start planting it and start nursing Mother Earth back to health. So there's a lot of people out there that aren't financially driven or manipulated by that part of the industry that are really interested, and I think you can still find them out there.
Right. And that's so refreshing. You know, so many people are driven by greed and by money, and certainly there are people in the cannabis industry that are driven by those things. But in our work through Bulldozer Health, we run across so many people who really just want to change things for the better and are doing such great work, you know, like yourself. And so it's great to hear that people are giving out seeds, that they are, you know, spreading that good word to people and actually giving them what they need to do it, you know. I think it's amazing that building with hemp helps with pest control too. I mean, that's a big problem, not just in indigenous communities, but you know, today where I'm talking to you from Fayetteville, Arkansas, I'm in the South, where there's, you know, it gets very warm and humid here. There's, you know, frequently different pests that can affect the household or people, you know, by just simply making that shift to hemp. And I say simple, I know it's not simple, but it's possible. Do you think it's possible everywhere to make that shift to hemp from other products?
I think we are making that shift, and I can see that we're making a global shift towards that. I just came back from Colombia in January. I spent over a month there, and I got to go and visit some indigenous communities that have been working on hemp farms for 2 to 5 years. Nice. And they've got children, and the whole communities are working on these projects, and it's providing them an economy so that they can bring in more seeds to plant food, and they're using it as a sustainable food source as well. So people are finding their way to hemp, and hemp is finding its way to people, I guess, because it's getting across the globe, and people are waking up about it. It's just, we've been saying it's only a matter of time, and I'm really thankful for all the pioneers and the people that have been there and putting in the work all these years, because without them, we wouldn't even know about this plant. There wouldn't be any more scripture. There wouldn't be any more evidence of it. So I'm really thankful that we have the opportunity still to be able to look at this as a sustainable solution.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really informative and helpful, and I appreciate all the work that you do.
In the sea and in me are the songs of the whales and the starfish's dreams. In the sea and in me, the first breath of life and the edge of what can be. storm of emotion, it rains from eyes in the sky. So am I. Dust from the Milky Way sparkles in my mind. As above, so below. Open up your heart to the divine flow. Let it be. It is so. Trust with your whole mind. Connect and let go. I am kin to the wind, breathing in the breezes, dancing on my skin, and heard like the bird. And I soar with the currents all across the verse. As above, so below. All is one and part of the divine flow. Let it be. It is so. Trust and surrender and let it all go. We are one with the sun, and we shine by believing in all that we have done. We can, hand in hand, make this world stronger, connecting with the land.
In this episode, I'll be interviewing MarieAnn Coules, founding owner and director of Hemptopia, Canada. Welcome to the show, MarieAnn.
Hello, Wendy. Nice to meet you. Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you too. So, MarieAnn, let's talk a little bit about the health benefits of hemp. Can you tell me a little bit about using hemp for nutritional reasons, for health?
For myself personally, I protein. Hemp has, in your 3 tablespoons of your called hemp seeds, you have your, a complete source of your plant protein. You have 10 grams,
Wow.
right, of protein right there.
Right.
You know, I mean, you don't need that 8 ounce steak anymore. It's now in hemp, you
Right.
know, and for me, you know, I found that, you know, and along with that, you know, you have all your essentials, you know, all 21 of them, your amino acids,
Wow,
your
really?
omegas. That's right. You know, your 3, 6, your 9 omegas, you know, and, you know, your B spectrums, you know, I mean, that's so vital, you know, for women, you know, depression, hormone balancing, you
Mm,
know, and it's just, you know, it's just common sense. You know, what we once, you know, was relied on through, you know, our fish oils and
mhm.
other oils. You know, hemp has it all, and it's a plant source, and it's a
Right.
sustainable plant source.
It has everything in it. I didn't realize that
Yes.
all of those things were available when you eat,
Well,
and they're delicious. I eat hemp seeds on salad myself,
mhm.
or sprinkle them on food, but I didn't realize that it contained all of those nutrients. That's amazing.
And well, and this is it, you know, and we're not saying you have to change your lifestyle and change your eating habits necessarily. It's now it's your vitamin. It's your what was once called your centrums,
Hmm.
your one a days.
Right.
You know, it's in hemp. It's got your vitamin E, 10% of it. It's got your potassiums. It's got your magnesiums. It's got your you know your zincs, and that's where you're healing from the inside out,
Wow.
right? You're able to, you know, and this is where, you know, the meshing of our two worlds are embracing the two industry, you know, the medical end and our dietary end is we're teaching people to relearn their bodies, clean and learn to understand your body. You know, hemp will get you there. The sick need to rebuild their muscle.
Right.
Protein rebuilds muscle, your heart, your lungs, your brain. That is all muscle.
Right.
So when people, what we have found is that when people are sick and they are having certain edibles, they have actually said that introducing a tablespoon a day of just regular hemp seed oil, it all just flowed. You know, when you're eating your hulled hemp seeds, you know, hemp seeds known to absorb, you know, your intestinal sugars and your, you know, which is said to, you know, be the onset of certain diabetes.
Right.
You
It seems like it's, so would you say that the hemp seed
know,
oil is the best way to ingest it?
it's preventative.
Okay.
And it's preventative. We're hoping mothers who are looking to get pregnant
Hmm.
things, you know, that they, you know, we're really supporting that, you know, and rather than taking, you know, the prescribed pregnant medicines that we all fall into, you
Hmm.
know, and then it's your folic acid and this and that. Hemp has it.
Hemp
Hemp
has
has
everything that you need in it.
calcium, and then your baby comes out, you know, and it has to be embraced.
Hmm.
The perfect balanced ratio of the 0.3% THC is just enough. And I see it as, you know, in utero, spark.
Right.
It's just enough to spark,
So
right?
some people have concerns about having any amount of THC, right,
Of
during
course.
pregnancy. And I know that there's a lot of information out there about that. I've connected with people who really feel like it's an essential nutrient since we all have the endocannabinoid system, right?
Well, of course, that is actually still one of the number one questions, you know, which is, you know, this is where we're coming down to the market level with people. This is what I do, and you know, you know, as people may have hemp, they don't know what to do with it,
Hmm.
and they have these questions and these concerns. Health Canada, you know, it's been 20 years that Canada's been growing legally. There's been no feedback of, you know, any overdoses or any of these types of effects, really. I
Right.
mean, and that's it. Canada's been number one. You know, it's been tested. It's you know, kosher certified, gluten free, you know, the lab tested, you know, and we take great pride in that, you
Right.
know, and we want to share that. We want to share
Right.
that for sure.
So you don't really get those deep concerns. And it's
No,
been, so hemp has been legal in Canada for 20 years. I didn't realize that. Wow.
yes, yes.
Tell me a little bit about your personal story. So you had some health issues and then how you helped yourself with hemp.
Well, you know, having children, you know, having, you know, the postpartums of it all. I was the Selexas, everybody wanted to prescribe me pills, and I can't commit to pills. I'm sorry, it's not my
I love that. I can't commit to pills.
right? I can't commit to the lifestyle of pills. Like, I can admit it, right? It'll go. I can't. I took my birth control pill. That was enough,
Right.
And right, like. So and that's it. I don't want it on my counters. It just wasn't for me. And when I was on that Celexa, I did go on it, and I did it for 6 months. And coming off of it was one of the worst experiences. I never told my doctor. It was only half a dose, and it was one of the most worst experiences of my entire life.
They are very hard to come off of, yeah. The health of your whole family improved by adding the hemp?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Definitely. We now, to bring it up a notch, I've been working with Doug Flight out of Wink and Son Hemp down in West Virginia, and we've been, and there's others along the way, but Doug and I, and he's blended beautiful products, with Canadian hemp, and because organic, USDA approved, so right on, he's comfortable, so we've been working together. And he's made beautiful bug sprays, right? Now, with these bug sprays, they have the essential oils, and he's blended it, beautiful stuff. And you know what? You put that on yourself. It's a bug spray, but not only that, it's a body spray. It smells great. We have an issue with ticks right now up here in BC. That's an issue. That's the onset of Lyme's disease. I mean, I wash my child's hair. My own hair is hemp seed oil.
Wow.
Right? We have no dandruff. We have no eczemas, ticks, lice. SPF in its raw form is of 21 plus, right? Wow. And I think that's fantastic, and it's not the sun necessarily, that we hear that causes the cancer. It's the petroleum ingredients that are in our sunscreens,
So there's so many different products that you mentioned right there that you're replacing with this all-natural organic hemp.
Right, shampoos, conditioners, lice, right? Things, it's just from my own dog. I bathe my dog in hemp seed oil because, well, why would they not get ticks, right?
Right, wow.
Dandruff, I clean their ears.
Right, ticks are a big problem. Lyme disease reaching epidemic proportions. And so it's really great to hear that hemp can even help with something like that.
It has natural, bugs do not like hemp. They do, on a whole. And this is where, zero waste to the plant. You're able to make the mulches. You're able to make the fibers. I use the mulches. I put that around my strawberry plants. I put my tomatoes, under, beds of mulch. Why? Bugs generally do not like hemp, slugs and snails,
right?
It sticks to them like Velcro. I mean, I can pluck my lettuce right off and not have to worry that there's snail trails.
That's amazing to keep the pests out of the garden,
Which is less waste for the grower,
right?
For the farmer,
right?
Rather than having to cut off the leaves, rather than to throw up, right? Cabbage, broccolis, this is all moth. Right. And this is less waste for the farmer at the end of the day. Right.
Definitely.
And this is what we encourage, the animals to as well, full cycle farming in hemp, that they're eating the hemp, they're, pooping out hemp.
Right.
It's going into the hemp mulches, and rather than, pine's toxic. It doesn't break down. Hemp breaks down, but it is also adding nutrients to a farmer's.
Right, it's breaking down, but it's giving a positive impact.
Well, this is it,
right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, you're adding, nutrients to your soil,
Right.
And what once for farmers, and this is what I find that, well, how is this going to benefit me, right? Startup costs, sure, to start up from scratch, with hemp mulch, they are there. But where you're saving is your labor costs, as is extremely absorbent. It's got, the acoustic properties. It's also got the RH factors with building, but it's also good for your pets, roof rot, hoof rot, that happens within, livestock.
Sure.
And this is where farmers are saying, okay, so I can actually, rather than paying to have their manures trucked out and disposed of, they're actually able to have people come into their farms and they're able to charge out per wheelbarrow.
Oh, wow.
know,
Right. So
right?
instead of waste, it's actually adding something positive. Right.
Bit of economy, right?
I have
to
a
the-
question though. So, with regard to the difference between hemp and cannabis for health and nutrition and healing, do you feel that for many people there's not even a reason to go to the cannabis side, that hemp can provide what's needed in many cases?
Yes, yes. I can honestly say this. I have had dear friends of mine, and this is what led me down this path. I saw people around me, it's privacy. They were sick. They were addicted, or it doesn't matter what they were addicted to, right?
Right.
It don't matter,
Right.
right? Chemicals are bad, right? And then again, fibromyalgia, misdiagnosed, and the pills, and the 8 Tylenol 3s a day
Right.
just to function.
Right. So do you
They-
think you can come off of
Introducing-
do you think you can come off of the pills with hemp, not with cannabis, but with use of hemp?
Well, we really encourage when you're taking you're relearning to read your body. You're building it out. And I always say, take it for 2 weeks. Go home for 2 weeks.
Right.
Come back and tell me how you feel. Maybe your fibromyalgia, that I've had people say, like, I've gone from 8 Tylenol 3s a day to a regular Tylenol once a day since being on the hemp seed oil.
Right. That's amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing, right? Because, people, Tylenol alone has been abused. I mean, my Tylenol expires.
Right.
I throw it out.
Right.
But
But the hemp seed oil doesn't expire.
I don't have headaches. I really don't. I don't have the aches and pains, right?
Right.
And that's by taking it, and now this is where I've teamed up with, a group of people, and great people out here, in a dispensary. And we believe in the same, learn your body. You might not have to make it back that door.
Bulldozer Health Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization and healthcare reform initiative. You can find us at bulldozerhealth.org. Take back your health, America.
Unexpectedly, an epiphany, I transcend my mediocrity to find what I was meant to be. I take some time to clear my mind, step into the miracle, I slip into the passage of time. Imagination is key. I'm imagining you, imagining me, climbing up your mountain.
In this episode, I'll be interviewing Stephen Mandilli. I'll be speaking with Julius Jones. We're on location at Just Breathe in Worcester, Massachusetts. In Leominster, Massachusetts. In Natick, Massachusetts. Bulldozer Health Show.
Unexpectedly, she returns to me like a wave of pure euphoria that slowly washes over me.